Hello, folks. Welcome to another broadcast of Debuffed, the Star Citizen Report.
Yes, welcome everybody. It's Memo and Thamin with you again for the Star Citizen Report. What do we have for everybody tonight, Thamin?
Alrighty. Well, to give it a brief rundown, what we're going to be taking a look as numerous stretch goals got hit around and since our last show. The end of LTI hit several milestones, several stretch goal milestones, and brought new ships in that we'll talk about. We also still have some scattered news, both from Wingman's Hangar and a few articles that are out there, and the November 26th broadcast to bring to you all too. So mostly just big scattering of information. We can fill in a bunch of small gaps here and there.
It was a huge week this week with the closing of the lifetime insurance. How many stretch goals did they hit this week alone, Thamin?
Gosh, I think it was, I don't get from the main one, but I think we started it around where I think we were still shooting for the 30 million mark, and now we're past 33 million.
Yeah, almost all the way to 34, halfway. On the 26 alone, they hit 1.5 million in pledges, which is just amazing. With each of these stretch goals, they've also, released new stuff for the game. What do we got to talk about that tonight, Thamin?
Yeah, well, I was gonna follow it up with. I was amazed, like when we was watching the LTI week slide by, when they offered that 350 racer, it was like 430,000 that day. I was like, wow, it's one of their best awesome sales days. And then Friday came with the Retaliator, the Gladiator, and the Super Hornet with its lifetime on the hull, which they originally weren't going to do, and then that shot up to 671,000, and I thought that's a million just between those 2 days. Starfarer shot it up to 730,000, and as Memo said, last day $1.5 million on there. Chris Roberts just writing out those stretch goals, and here's the next one.
Yeah. Every time that we hit a stretch goal, we get a letter from Chris Robinson, and that week he had to write one almost every day.
Yeah, and so then to take back, a little before that, and we're going to go through some of the stretch goals that we didn't even necessarily cover with Brigand's show recently. So just to go back to 28 million, that earned us the Mustang, a new starter ship.
So instead of just the Aurora, you now have the option of the Mustang. I don't think we've seen any art or any ship specs on that, but it's the more pledges come in, the more choice we're gonna have in the game.
Yeah. So the Mustang is going to have a few different characteristics. 29 million enhanced mission design for Squadron 42. They've got some big plans for that, opening with an epic battle instead of a training patrol. And I have a few more detailed things of Squadron 42 coming up as well. Alright, 30 million brought in the Origin 890 Jump, a large ship, an interstellar super yacht, which also sounds like it's going to have a small boat bay. No word on what kind of boat might be on that. And I see from the chat here bugging you about your beard, and I don't know that the camera shows it too much, but here I was hunting recently, so I'm pretty fuzzy there too.
It's No Shave November for anybody who's never heard of that. And if you just picture me with a light blue and think Papa Smurf, it's kind of what I was shooting for there.
So to jump back into this here, and when the jump came out, they asked the players to pick the next ship. So at 31 million, which again another goal we've achieved, the first ship was the RSA Orion, and the players picked mining. So that it surprised me, but that's what folks wanted. They wanted a mining, a crafter, maybe so to speak, ship.
That wasn't my pick for the first ship, and I was lucky enough that my pick for the first ship came in as the $32 million goal ship, which was the Aegis Surveyor, which was the salvage ship. So they've now added a specific ship you can get just to salvage in Star Citizen, which I know I've talked about that with some other guildies, and that is something that I personally would like to pursue. It's a great way to make revenue for the game, and they really haven't gone into too many specifics on it. So I'm really looking forward to more info on that, ship specs, maybe some work in progress artwork.
They did make it interesting too. I mean, that was our 32 million goal. There was the quote, "Many surprises planned on derelict ships. Something made them derelict in the first place." So that's going to be interesting too to see what I mean. I get the mental picture of my head almost like out of an Aliens movie. You get on, the lights aren't working, and something jumps out at you.
Dead
32
Space.
or 33 million. The latest to be achieved, the Anvil Carrack, and this is going to be an Explorer. Um, let's see. Highly advanced jump drive array and dedicated computer core room allows it to put maximum processing power into jump charting operations, including crew medical and repair facilities. So, oh, I see. Yeah, Bellyfat asked a question. Scrapping just metals or devices and weapons also.
They haven't really gone into detail on that, but they say they have a pretty much whole plan for it, the way it's going to work, what you can do with it, but they really haven't released any details per se on exactly what you're going to be able to salvage, how you're going to be able to use it, if you're going to have to sell it in parts, or if you're going to be able to assemble stuff from what you salvage. But very very exciting news. It's just another facet that's been added to this game that brings in a whole new group of players.
Now, I'm going to talk about the next goals that we're shooting for. Again, all voted by the players. At 34 million will be the MISC, because I can never pronounce, I keep forgetting the M word, but the MISC Hull C, which is Smuggler, which I'd been voting for all the time just because the forum names I picked was the Smuggler. I had to support it. And 35 million, the Drake Herald, which will be our information data runner.
Which I haven't really seen a lot of details on what that actually even means, as far as, have you seen anything on that, Thamin, on exactly what that means? The information handling? Is it going to be a spy ship? Is it going to be? I mean,
it sounds like it could be. It's carrying mega data servers that it also mentioned that can be cleaned and scrubbed in quick notice. So it sounds like, does that mean and ready for the next delivery, or more likely, if somebody's about to take the ship, will you have the option to clean and scrub that info off so somebody can't get it?
Some kind of security systems. I mean, I'm not sure where they're going with that one. Does sound very interesting, though.
Yeah, it does sound unique from their thing. I'm going to go ahead and throw up a picture because we talked about the goal of the Banu Merchantman, last time, and we didn't really have a picture of it. I threw up the picture of the Xeon Capital ship and then caused a little confusion as far as which ship we were talking about. But here's the picture they've shown of the Banu Merchant. And something about that ship jumped out at somebody in the forums right away. Their first question was, how does it land?
I would bet that it doesn't. That looks like a space dock ship, I would have to say.
Yeah, I think I would play that too. I mean, maybe the Banu have some specific rig up that can land in, but to me it looks like water, or yes, it parks in orbit and then the rowboats come ashore with the goods or something, so to speak. All right. And that was mostly all I wanted to talk about as far as the stretch goals before going into some of the smaller details. And I thought about coming up soon, showing the Avenger PBR video that was kind of mentioned. It was in their 26 November broadcast. I was trying to think if we wanted to touch on any other questions or anything with the stretch goals.
Do you have any questions for anybody on the stretch goals or anything, actually?
Other than also thinking it's awesome that They asked. They're like, "What do you folks want?" And then they're going with that.
Yeah, the level of communication between the players and backers that they're having with us, I've never really seen in another game before. Um, they constantly have, what do you want? If we hit this amount, what do you want in the game? And then they put it in there, and it's went from, just the basic Squadron 42 game, which is going to be kind of your single player game, and the Star Citizen module, the other game, to they've added, first person combat. They've added boarding of ships. They've added all these additional ships. They've said, "What do you want? We will put it in there." And that to me is one of the things that keeps me excited about the game. It's just, the game is a long way off, and to be this excited about it this far in advance is really something. We will be seeing something at the end of this year as far as the dogfighter module goes, but still the actual game is quite a maybe 2 years off, and they'll be releasing it periodically in modules to give us a glimpse of what they're doing as they do it. And that to me is the kind of as an older gamer, the kind of interaction I've wanted to see in games for, I don't know, ever.
Yeah, not too many producers are out there asking their players in pre-alpha their choices. All right. So I was going to show up to explain a little background on this video. It was on the November 26th live show, most of which I unfortunately missed due to work. But we still caught a number of things that we got to talk about. Now, the PBR rendering that they discussed in this video is also part of the reason why we haven't seen some really big hangar upgrades in a while. It's going to be a new way that they're going to throw together the textures and rendering of the ships that's going to react more realistically to lighting. And as they implement it, it's going to save them a lot of work. But in the short term, it means they have to redo the ships and a lot of the stuff that they've just already been working on. So, so that's what's kind of like going to delay things a little bit, and why we don't see that update, because this is going to replace the technology they've already started with. But yet, it's going to make a really great game later on. In fact, they say once this is downloaded, it's going to be where you take a piece of texture, and that texture will be able to be used in any kind of lighting condition in the game, and it's going to look realistic. Where previously they said they can take a texture, but you put it into a different lighting condition, it doesn't look good, and they have to create a new texture. So it's kind of like thinking that they have to build several artistic versions of the same ship just for a different planet it might be on.
Hmm.
So it sounds like this will dramatically speed things up, but unfortunately in the short term, it might be another delay as they get this other stuff going. And I was sure to grab this because we haven't done anything with the Avenger yet, and I've got a friend of mine who hooked on to Star Citizen in these last few days of LTI, so I got him hooked up with an Avenger. That's what he wanted. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this video here. So good first glance for some of you at the Avenger and this new PBR rendering that they're going to talk about.
That's just awesome. Uh, yeah, that's going to be kind of a cross between a jet
Sorry, folks.
fighter and a bounty hunter. Kind of looks like to me because it's got that
That was
jet
me.
fighter look, but it also has room for either cargo or prisoners, as Thamin was saying. I don't know if his mic was muted. Was your mic
Yeah,
muted, Thamin?
sometimes I hop back from a video so quick I forget to unmute myself. But I was basically kind of referring to those upright sleeping holes that they had there. Uh, and I'll throw. I should probably throw just interesting that picture that you were telling me just about the video. 5 minutes to go live, and Memo pointed out something, a picture on the website, and I had to go grab it and get it in here quick.
Yeah, I tend to do that to him. Sorry, Thaman. But it was, I mean, when you saw it, you're like, I got to add that.
All right. So, so we were looking at Chris Roberts did that giving thanks post, and he had a picture, to kind of hold us over of male female explorer, and Memo was taking a look at something in this picture that jumped out at him.
Yeah, it's he did a post on Thanksgiving, just giving thanks to the people who've pledged and the fans going forward. It was a great, heartfelt post, but he put a work in progress of the Male Explorer up, and as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, man, that blaster looks really familiar. And as I looked at it more, I'm like, that is an incredibly iconic gun that he has put in that character's hand. I hope that he does not get sued for copyright violation, because I don't know, I've seen that gun in a movie before.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any idea of seeing that gun before? And it looks like he has two of them. Yeah, see, there we go. Where Han only needed one. But
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Han Solo gun. You can tell these guys love grew up and loved their Star Wars like a lot of us did. Yeah.
And his post was giving thanks on Thanksgiving Day to pretty much all the fans, and he had a female model as well. They're work in progress. I don't know if that's going to be the final blaster that you'll see in your character's hand, but I can imagine that as being one of those graphics you want to save over for whatever weapon you've got.
All right. So let's see. Let's try to look at some stuff here. A few of the details we picked up. Oh, I've got an apology to make to everybody. They had those Star Citizens T-shirts. They had a few left. They had that sale going on, and I looked at the one that's the Star Citizen with the constellation on the back. Talks about citizenship and availability. There was one 2XL shirt left. So if anyone wonders who got the last one, that was me. Uh, Now, I'm not admitting that I fill out a 2XL shirt. I'm just saying I got the last one. All right.
Nice.
So, a few things. Let's go back to Squadron 42. They've said a few things about that one. They do say, like the original Wing Commander, a player has an effect on how the campaign unfolds and where it goes. Now, they've said in this one, unlike the original Wing Commander, it was just whether you succeed or fail the mission. The outcomes may depend more on moral issues and how you treat your wingmen, rather than just winning or losing the battle.
That's something you see in a lot of games now, that if you have no impact on the story, what's the point? So, I mean, I don't see how that couldn't be included with all the care and love they put into this game. Because if you have no effect on the story, you're just going to spacebar through it all anyways, as we've all played games like that.
And to see a few things too, there was some mention that you can pick co-pilots in battles. But you also can hang out with these co-pilots between missions and socialize and forge relationships. I kind of think like Mass Effect, you could do that too in between. Go visit everyone. A few other things. They want the NPCs, these wingmen, and also NPCs in the persistent universe to learn, get better, and adapt to your flying style.
Yeah, computer generated AI. That will be interested to see how they. I will be interested to see how they handle that with this, because it's either been we've seen it be really good in games and we've seen it be really really bad. So that is exciting that they're taking that in consideration.
Hmm. And there's a mention too about the. So far, there's around 50 to 70 missions, and they can have multiple steps to them. And as we've already touched on, no boot camp. You're going to be thrown into the story. And also, they have already mentioned friendly fire will be there. So,
Friendly fire. I feel sorry for my wingman.
especially too if I get one like Maniac from the first game, would always immediately when you see enemies, he hits the turbo and goes right out there. Yeah. Now, if you, I have a whole section here on personal touches that seem to be going into the game. They've already mentioned guild logos and decals should be available. It sounds like they're just developing a screening process to keep certain mature themes out. Uh, Personalization of star bases, and friends can help defend them, just like they can help you on your ship. They do make it sound like the hangar module will eventually be comfortable like home. It sounds like the hangar module is your living space.
Yeah, your base of operations, pretty much. And what is that about the asteroid hangar base? What info do we have on that?
I have heard that you can buy the asteroid hangar base if you don't have to be a pirate because even law-abiding citizens might have a asteroid hangar base. So there is going to be the ability to buy that. Again, no date, but with the PBR rendering, that might affect it too. You know. And let's see. So a few other things they said about the hangar. It'll be a place to hang out with friends. I know that some viewers were requesting, "Hey, will your player NPCs or the people you hire hang out there?" That sounded like a possibility. Um, Jukebox in the hangar that plays some of this futuristic music.
Or
Yeah.
or plays maybe your own music? I mean, when I think about the NPCs hanging out, I think about your ship on in SWOTOR. You know, all your unused pets companions would be hanging
Yeah.
out on your ship, just lounging around while you're out there saving or destroying the galaxy, depending on your faction. So I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be something similar, or hopefully they've improved on that model.
Lumavox mentions a asteroid guild hangar. Well, we do know it sounds like there will be something of a guild hangar that's been hinted at, but again, scant details. We don't know too much yet. Um, an important thing too about your hangar module, they're saying send them requests. So get
Yeah.
on the forums if you got something that you want to see in your hangar in your lounge in the game. Tell them.
One of the things I know we'd like to see more of is the game be developed more for guilds, groups, to give, they're just simply a base of operation, or to, they're very vague on, squadrons, groups, guilds, how that's even going to lay out. And if the more people they know are interested in this, the more they will look into it and give us information. Hopefully, that's the problem that a lot of us are having right now. We get these little nuggets of information, and it just makes you want more and more and more.
And let's see. Grab one thing here. So a few other things under the personalization. Um, we already knew that the longer you own a ship, the messier it can get. That's going to be
That's not
reflected
good.
in it. Yeah. Um, it says old ships can also reflect previous battle damage. So I'm sure you can scrub and clean that up too, or you can walk around and go, oh, that's mine down there. It's got the big scar on the side of the cockpit. Um, the the HUD, the HUD heads-up display, is being designed by the guy that gave us those Iron Man visor graphics in the movies. It will reflect the
Hmm.
diversity by manufacturer. So it's going to be a different feel from one ship to another, just with the manufacturers. I like that too.
That sounds really good. I know just in the constellation that I have in my hangar, when you set in the pilot seats, just from the display it's got going, it's all a heads-up display. I mean, you're actually looking through your display to look out, which is, I mean, it is very cool if you've never seen any of the screenshots or video of that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, the direction they're going with the heads-up display for all this, and sounds very cool.
All right. I'm gonna fit one thing in while I'm discussing some of these other points here. I do have a little slideshow on the Gladiator. So while I'm chatting about other stuff, the important part of this slideshow, these pictures that came out, is slight differences in the rear cannons, like the CoPilots using to fire behind them. So the important part of these pictures is to look at the back of the cockpit, the different arrangement of the guns. You can kind of see how they're playing around with things. Now I'll start up there. We do know that it sounds like avatars may have may imitate facial expressions. We'd heard a similar thing out of EQ Next. Sounds like they're going to have something like that in Star Citizen 2. Orchestral music will change in intensity with battle damage and the situation. And I think that mostly covers. Oh, and just little things like details. They mentioned that the way they're designing, like they're designing the Hornet has 72 lights on it, and most of these next generation consoles can only handle 50. So little things like that.
Hmm.
Alright, so I'll pop off the slideshow there. Alright, so I've got a few other things still to cover, but I got one other video I can show folks too. Because it does seem like with some of the delays in the dogfighting and the hangars upgrades, they did come up with something else in the hangar that they want to share with folks, or that they want to give folks, and we thought it was pretty cool too. A firing range where you can test out the ship's guns. Starting to pull that up here. So, a little over 2 minutes, another little thing that they kind of demonstrated in their November 26th live show.
So how it's set up here is we have the Gatling gun that's hooked up onto the Hornet that we're setting up for Dogfight V1. You can see the scale of the thing is just massive. So we got our test weapon mount here. So I'm getting into the chair right now, where you can actually just interact with it.
Wow, that's really dark for me, Thamin.
For you, and you can actually jump in. It's going to pull you back in.
Yeah, hop on where folks can hear me. I did think it was pretty dark, but I think again, this is all like testing.
So a lot of these are all set up thanks to Forrest as well and Zane for these guys actually setting this target up real fast for us.
Well, I like the little pop-up targets.
But also the best part about this whole thing is with,
And I was just thinking as I'm watching this, who's the first person that's going to park their hangar buggy in the way and take shots at it?
Familiar with the holotable, you can actually pull in the weapon mount itself.
Yeah, is this all being done from the console? Or are they just going to the console to show you swapping weapons around?
Right, the actual weapon mount thing is going to be accessible through the console. You can grab any weapon from your ships and mount it on like that.
The weapon itself on the mount. And that'll completely switch out the actual weapon that's available. And now you can actually shoot that one too.
So these are kind of like practice dummies in your hangar for your ship.
Yep. And just to get a different look and feel for the guns.
So it completely changes the effect, changes everything. So it's just demoing off exactly like what the weapons are going to be capable. And I was using this test platform actually to test out like the Hornet destructibility, and of course fully fixed up yet. But at least from here, you can actually test out all the different weapons that we're actually going to be pumping out for Dogfight. So thanks a lot, Zane. Thanks a lot, Forrest, for rapidly helping us out with this.
Alrighty. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing to too, another toy to give us, so to speak.
Yeah, I was wondering. Someone mentioned that's the discount hanger. I was wondering what exactly that looked like, if it was really that dark as people were saying. But apparently, it is. It is extremely dark. Someone needs to flip the lights on in there.
And well, a lot of people, all they have is the discount hanger. You know, not not everyone has like spent too much like some of the rest of us.
Yes, yes, that's not a good thing. I have spent more money than I'd like to say on this game.
Gosh, and let's see here. Dive into some of our other details. So, moving off personalization into some other stuff that's a mix of Wingman's Hangar and the November 26th show. Uh, this first stuff is Wingman's Hangar. Capital ships can have countermeasures against torpedoes. So, I don't know if that then is like probably one of the man stations on it, but if they're firing torpedoes at you, it's not a guarantee it's going to hit. Got someone on the countermeasures. So, giving folks jobs and giving your friends jobs on that capital ship. And to clarify, if a turret blows up, the occupant blows up.
I would guess so. I would hope on big capital ships there would be some amount of auto defense involved in there. Because I mean, when you got that big of a ship to cover, and the NPCs are supposed to be better than nothing, but not as good as player characters, I would hope there's going to be some amount of auto defense.
Yep.
One would be hopeful.
Yeah. And of course, we still haven't seen, there's been a lot of speculation on electronic or computer offense defense between ships, hacking or anything like that. And hacking, jammers, we just don't know. Speculation at this point. Now, other things we have here, there will be NPC guilds, such as the merchant, such as the bounty hunter. Nymira asks, are you able to let someone else pilot your ships?
I believe so. You're able to loan. What they were talking about was the ability to loan ships out to people.
They were,
So
okay.
I've heard that. I mean, if we're wrong, someone will correct me on our YouTube channel very very quickly. So if you want updates on the video, our YouTube viewers are ever vigilant. Thank you for that, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we knew that friends could jump into your character NPC slots. Just wasn't sure how it would carry it out to the ships in that.
From what I read on that, as far as them getting stolen, is there was some kind of auto return time you could set, or some kind of safeguard against letting someone use a ship and being able to get it back, because you can actually hire. Was it the conversation going, Damon, where you could hire people to bring your ships to you, or you could have your ships shipped to you?
Yep.
And they were talking about how do you trust people to do that? Well, there was be some kind of safeguard in there for that.
And I've always thought that if someone's going to jump into one of your NPCs, the owning player does need a way to kick them out, just in case. All right. Folks, we are going to be, we're trying to cut the show a little tighter. We'll probably close up in about 5 minutes, so get your questions in if you got something on your mind. I'll try to run through, a few last things here. Okay, so, the first-person shooter aspect leans hardcore. There's no health bar. You can take time to consult your Moby Glass. But you can take arm and leg injuries and be crawling. There's a big thing on the economics and players affecting the persistent universe. Companies can go broke, leaving open warehouses for someone to move in. Players may make discoveries that impact the persistent universe, such as new alloys, metal, tech. There is also a mention that if you are traveling long distance, and it did, yeah, I like that. Nymira responding to earlier, as far as if an eject button, click. That'd be the funnest way to do it.
Well, on the FPS, Thamin, I mean, a health gauge is nice, but for anybody like me that's played, knowing I have 1 or 3% health left after getting shot once isn't super helpful. So, I mean, a health gauge to me is in an FPS, if you've played a lot of them, isn't a big deal. Now the friendly fire is something that I usually try to avoid servers set up like that, because I'm usually a lot harder, on my own teammates than I am the enemy at that point. Because if I'm firing a gun and they happen to step in front of me, that to me is their own fault.
Yeah. And
I'm
who
not
knows,
going to stop shooting.
Yeah. Chris Roberts, we already know there's going to be battle damage reflected on your ship when it gets hit. He's always done that. So you'll probably have some kind of visual clues, too, that you are taking wounds. So one thing that was relatively new, if you do have a long distance to travel, and it can be a long distance in some of the space that we're talking about, you can set the ship for an autopilot. Ships will travel faster when they are going in a straight line at a set target, and your chance to get up, walk around the ship. So it's kind of a little closer to fast travel, though it does not sound it makes you immune to attacks. And Magic Rules had to put in, yes, the flames surrounding your cockpit, I'd imagine, would be a good sign.
Good time. It's time to bail out.
Uh-huh.
Get picked up.
I'll tell you guys, too, I think they wouldn't mind doing this. Some of you guys, I don't subscribe to Jump Point, but that's probably good, because there's a lot of things there that is the only thing untouchable you can't talk about on the show. So I can only say briefly that they have given good incentive if you do want to get it, because I got a chance to see a friend show me a picture once, and the picture was awesome. You'll have to guess. You'll have to get Jump Point. It's amazing the other artwork that we're not seeing on the website.
Shinmei has a question. Will there be space, poker, chess, or some other thing to do while traveling? This has been a major discussion item on the forums. People want these mini games in the game. I'm not sure exactly what stance they're taking on it yet, but the players are asking for it already.
Mm-hmm.
So, and things are important like that in games. So I think it's a very good possibility we could see something like that. I know that we talked, was it last week or the last show or the show before, we talked about them putting the racing and the sports in, to where you could, the whole theme line stories going with those, which I would guess if they're going to have sports and racing in there, there will be some form of gambling as well, because you cannot have either of those things without people betting on them. That's part of what makes them what they are.
We won't do too much, but to grab... How long is travel? We don't know. We know it is a large universe. But that's all conjecture right now. They're still testing the engines and how big to actually make it. There was another one brought up. Let me go back to it. Oh yeah, Lumavox. Yes, in the dogfight module, you can earn test credits to experiment with stuff, but they will go away after. So now, granted, when the Persistent Universe comes out, maybe you can win something too, but at least as far as alpha/beta, it sounds like you will win some credits to play with, but you're not going to be able to keep those. That's the impression I get.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to see. Touch on a few things. When we wrap up, there are 111 teams working on the next great starship. The little post on, radar can have trouble IDing ships that are farther away or with higher stealth ratings. Another reason a more trimmed stealth rating can help out your ship. Folks don't know what that blip is out there. And I did think it was interesting that in the Wingman's Hangar, the MVP post, for the week before Thanksgiving was a Star Citizen support group for folks that had already spent too much money.
We have a question from Shinmei. What kind of electronic warfare do you want to see?
I think that's a good one to actually just throw it on their forums, because we have seen people wanting to try remotely hacking a ship. That's not too popular with me, but for capital ships, I can kind of see that happening, because you've got those extra stations. They're going to try that stuff. It does bring into mind, too, how that information runner is going to come into play.
He says he's already got it posted there. He's wondering what our thoughts were on it. Well, yeah, and you know you're not alone in thinking that. When that brought up, what it immediately made me think of was the information runner. Is that going to be something that's involved in, hacking and remotely taking control of ships and such?
Yeah. Few things too. I've got one last thing. Folks got to keep in mind too. You've been seeing it on the forums. Some people have been really rude toward Chris Roberts and CIG with some of these delays, and you can give them constructive criticism. You can have a healthy kind of feedback, but it's a reminder to these folks that some of the stuff on the forums is a little too cruel. It's probably a very vocal minority, as it often is, but
That is your major forum poster on a lot of things that we see, is this minority that wants to shout, and that's unfortunate.
all right.
We've seen it over and over in every forum out there, but the grievance forum.
All right, guys, we are going to have to bring it to a close here. I know,
Yep.
Memo, if you got any last announcements.
Nope. Thanks for tuning in yet again, everyone, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Yep. So, guys, December 14th, our next show. Looking forward to the next one and seeing you guys again, and we will see you in the verse.